All right, flawless sunshine for us across northern Arizona. Today we start off taking a look at the national satellite. The entire west is under strong high pressure. We put this into motion. You kind of notice where the storm track is. You can barely picture it, and there isn't much of one, but jet stream way up in the northern tiers. You see a little bit of snow dropping through the plains and into the mid-Mississippi River Valley into Illinois, but a pretty quiet day across the country. In place across the west, particularly the Intermountain West, big cold pull there. Still a little bit crisp and cool for us out there today under a northeasterly breeze. And here we take a look at the model temperatures across the country. Really don't pay attention to these numbers that you can barely see, but just the colors and these blues. This is this cold pool of air that was left behind from that storm system that went through a couple days ago, taking a while to erode. And when you get this cold air at the surface, cold air is denser than warm air, which is buoyant and lifts up and leaves lower pressure at the surface. So what we have is some cold air up to our north. And what happens if we switch it over to the current surface analysis, high pressure at the surface associated with that dense, heavy, cold air. While down in the southern portion of the country and building out of Mexico, warm air. And that's, as we just talked about, buoyant, lighter air. So air wants to redistribute the mass. That high pressure doesn't like being all there. It wants to move towards the low pressure and get to balance, which obviously it never does. And maybe you learned in your elementary science class, wind blows from high to low pressure. And so that's what we have today, the high pressure and the dense air coming out of the north. And when we get up here on the Coconino Plateau at the higher elevations, north of the Mogollon Rim, that's a cold, chilly wind. It's a whole different wind, though, when you get south of the Mogollon Rim and it starts to get down in lower elevation. That air starts to compress and it heats up from compressional heating. So you see a large difference from the chilly air on days like today to when you get south of the Mogollon Rim and things really warm up. This is also the setup for the Santa Ana wind across Southern California. Wind advisories in effect there as the winds howl offshore. Perfect for the surf conditions and temperatures down across the desert today and in Southern California in the upper 70s, while we're still stuck here in the 30s and 40s. Flagstaff today into the mid 40s. We'll start to see this cold air erode tomorrow. Still a little bit there with the northeasterly wind, but much warmer tomorrow. And then as we get into the weekend, we get completely away from a northerly wind. We switch it out to the Pacific satellite, and notice this big storm up in the Gulf of Alaska. This thing's going to move through the Intermountain West come the Saturday and Sunday time frame, well to the north of us here in Arizona, but we're going to expect increasing wind. Temperatures still remain mild going into the weekend as this storm system starts to move down into the Great Basin area, but we'll see the wind pick up on Saturday. And then on Sunday, as it moves through the Intermountain West, it'll be howling winds out there, gusting in excess of 40 miles per hour across the western United States. But when we see these winds switch to the west, we see a lot of places warm up across the region as we get into the Saturday time frame. A weak cold front barely moves into Arizona Sunday night into Monday. No precipitation, but it'll cool us off briefly early next week. All right, overnight tonight, clear and cold, 16 degrees our early morning low. Forecast tomorrow, quite a bit warmer, 5-10 degrees warmer than where we were today as we start to see a weakening of that northerly wind component. And sunrise for our Friday, 6:53. Statewide temperatures for Friday, 64 in Prescott, 63 in Sedona, 64 Payson, 64 in Winslow, 81 degrees down in Phoenix. And speaking of Phoenix, it's the McDowell Mountain Music Festival. Great festival. It's 100% nonprofit, and all charities go to the Phoenix Children's Hospital as well as a homeless shelter down there called U-Mom. And a great music lineup this year. The Shins, Government Mule I'm excited about on Sunday. It'll be a little bit windy down there on Sunday, but just perfect music festival weather. Okay, our extended forecast for us here. Expect increasing wind as we get into the weekend. We start to cool off a little bit on Sunday. A very windy Sunday. Tomorrow on Saturday, we'll see the wind on the increase. A breezy Saturday, but really a very windy day on Sunday. Early next week, a little cool air makes its way in behind that storm system that moved through the Intermountain West. But as we get into late next week or mid next week even, temperatures really start to warm up with some spring fever on the way. All right, send it back to you guys at the desk.